What is your understanding of suffering, and how do you respond to someone who's suffering?
You want to make it more specific, maybe? Because you know, if somebody here is sick, I wish them health. What do you mean suffering? What are you talking about? Are you talking about, you know, next week we're remembering the Holocaust, 75 years since Auschwitz? What are you referring to?
Suffering as in somebody being hurt, being attacked.
Somebody or specifically?
No, you can speak generally. I mean, there's no time for the specifics. It would go for 2 hours of discussion. But you can speak generally, and it depends on whatever you want. Like somebody who's, let's say, Jewish people back in any European country who were suffering. What's your concept of suffering? What would you expect from somebody who's not Jewish? How would you like him to interfere to sympathize, or to maybe not sympathize with the suffering of the certain Jewish people who were suffering at some point?
Okay, I have to admit that that is not a question that I was, had the answer in my pocket. Not something, not a way of saying it that I, have a prepared answer for. And so I'm going to give you maybe a different kind of answer than I even expected to say, which is, as Jewish people, in many ways, we are people who know suffering and have been through a lot of suffering. And one of the ways that we've come into this era is with the idea of self-determination, and that nobody's really going to protect us. And maybe that's a way to understand the Jews of Hebron a little bit better. They really don't think that America's going to help them, or England's going to help them. And they don't think that Israel's necessarily going to help them, or the army, or the police, or especially the Shabak, or the what are they called? The civil administration. Like, in many ways, we fight them. And in many ways, I think that what my Arab friends in the Arab side of Hebron don't know is we feel that we're suffering a lot there. Not just from Arabs, but from, like, I can't build a house because my own government stops me from doing that. My own government is ambivalent. So I see suffering on the other side. It's never pretty. It's never nice. I don't like to see Arabs being stopped and checked. And I'll tell you, how much time do I have? 30 seconds? A minute, great. I have a story that happened today, just before I came into the building. My friend Majdi. Where are you, Majdi? Where are you there? There. My friend Majdi, I spoke to him, and I said, how are you doing? How did you get here? Anyway, we're talking about a lot of stuff. He told me that recently he was on a bus, and that he was on an Israeli bus, a Jewish bus. And a guy comes up to him with a gun, a non-soldier, and says to him, who are you? What are you doing? Show me your ID. And he said to him, you have a problem, call the police. You're not a police officer. And he said to me, I was very embarrassed. Everybody's looking, everybody in the bus is afraid. Maybe there's a terrorist, there's an altercation. Everybody's like looking at the guy. And he was embarrassed, and he was ashamed. I think there was suffering there. And he told me that he said to the guy, look, if you have a problem, call the police. There's no problem here, but if you have a problem, call the police. I said to Majdi, I said, listen, next time, just for a second, say to him, hey, I really appreciate that you're security concerned. I'm also security concerned. But I just want you to know, I'm not a problem. You can call the police, we can do this formally, but I just want you to know, like, you got the wrong guy here. Like, with respect, because I know you're nervous. And so, I think that Majdi felt pain, I think this guy was afraid, and I think a little bit more conversation could ease it. And now I have a question, I have the mic, and it's my turn to ask a question. It's actually back to you, my friend, Milcom. I have a question for you. You said Palestinianism, Palestinian identity, well, I didn't want to use the word twice because it's a pluralistic identity. Did you say that? How'd you say it? Can you say it again for me?
Pluralistic.
Good. Nailed it. I want to ask you this. Can Israeli...
I didn't know, it's a dictation.
No, it's not, and I'm not tricking you. I really want to know, truly, can Israeli, for you, be a pluralistic identity? Can you be an Israeli Armenian, or an Israeli Palestinian, or an Israeli Arab, or an Israeli Christian, or maybe an Israeli Muslim for other parts of the table? Can you accept at any point in your life, and you've gone through a lot of changes, the Israeli identity is a pluralistic identity?
So the question of can, can a monkey turn into an elephant? Maybe yes, maybe no. But I'm saying can is a different answer or question from reality. So can an Israeli identity be pluralistic or inclusive? Maybe yes. If Israel chooses to do so, hallelujah.
Can you accept?
According to Eno. Can I accept? Of course, if Israel does it, why not? Amazing. I would love Israel to include everybody, but without excluding my Palestinian identity, okay? So I have Palestinian friends who say, I'm Israeli Palestinian. That's beautiful. Actually, it's a beautiful, I'm not Israeli Palestinian. I don't have citizenship nor nationality, to say the least. But I use Palestinian as a metaphor also, not only as a nationality. I use it in a very deeper sense because I represent people group whom I love so dearly and I'm honored to be part of, defending and speaking of their suffering, representing their victimhood and their oppression. Now, they are being oppressed. Now, so can it be? Yes, in theory, everything can become amazing. Is it in reality? Of course not. Actually, Palestinian identity is inclusive, or has been historically way more inclusive than today, by the way. But today's Israeli identity is one of the most exclusive identities because it wants even any non-Jew may suffer within Israel today. The Druze, the Ethiopian, like any even Jews who are of different countries and backgrounds, So it's definitely excluding rather than including. But why? I hope let's turn it into inclusivity. That's our dream here, and that's what we're doing.
And what role would ritual on a daily basis to restore that push towards our higher consciousness as opposed to our fighting consciousness, and how can we bring that to the next generation?
What is that question for?
I think if I may, I feel your, I feel it. I feel what you're saying, and I want to answer you, if I may. Remind me your name again? Joel?
Joel, yeah, but can we all just take a deep breath together?
Did you feel that higher consciousness? Everybody get past the lizard brain and into a joint consciousness. Joel, I want to say something to you. I appreciate the question. I don't think that humanity is going to prosper when we eliminate our differences completely. We learned that in our Torah about the 12 tribes. That there's 12 different tribes, they have different characteristics, they have different families. And those families are tribes. Those tribes are clannish. But there's something very beautiful about that. It's a mosaic that everybody gets to keep their color, their coloration, their family unity. And I think that we see that in Arab society, Armenian society, Jewish society, world society. People have their houses and their family. They have a little unit, and it becomes a bigger unit. There's a nation, it comes together. Nations live on their land. I'm still a fan of the idea that nationalism is liberalism. I'm still a fan of the idea that the family of nations can come together by peoples living in their indigenous land, with their indigenous language and their indigenous calendar. I still believe in that. I still think that that's actually the ultimate liberalism. I think that I don't know which one is which. There's globalism, and there's there's globalism, and then there's global trade, which is globalization. Thank you. There's globalism and globalization. Which one is which? I don't know. But one of them means the erasure of borders and lines and languages and currencies. And there's another one which says, no, you get to keep your borders, languages, currencies, and calendars. But you get to work with the world. You get to see those other things. You get to trade. You get to read their stuff. Today I was in a museum in Jerusalem that had only German writing. I took out my brand new phone here, hit Google Translate on the photo thing, and I was able to read it in English because it was able to translate immediately. And I was like, that's my ability to connect to this German stuff. But I don't want it all erased into one global language, one global family. I want to keep those other. So I don't want to, in the brand new consciousness that you're speaking of, I wouldn't erase differences. That's what I want to say.